I think my expert in gender and development studies in Sri Lanka, one of the experts. And also the UN, right? And not only in Sri Lanka, the UN expert. Right. And also she served to Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science over 15 years in various capacities. Once she was the president of Section F, Section for Social Sciences in 2005, I suppose. Then prior to that, she conducted a seminar, workshop in Cambodia in this particular subject, international conference in this particular subject, environment and Buddhism. And editor of class for long years, and also editor of the Royal Asiatic Society. It is our privilege to invite from the name of the to Buddhism, Biodiversity, Women's Role in Conservation.
Friends, let me start. My presentation is 3 parts. 1, Buddhist principles that are relevant to the discussion. I might have to repeat some of the things that Sarah mentioned, and also the part 2, and also the role of women as described by the Buddha, and the last part, women's role in conservation. As background, let me start. Chief events in the Buddha's life occurred under trees. His birth, although he was not responsible for the choice of place though, attaining enlightenment, his first address to monks, his passing away, and many other his addresses to on many other occasions. The Buddha's love for the nature, and just skipping through quickly, I may repeat, but for the sake of mentioning them, for the sake of reinforcing, the Buddha said, seeking the supreme state of sublime peace, I wandered until I saw a delightful stretch of land and lovely woodland over, and a clear flowing river with a delightful pulse. So I sat down thinking, indeed, this is an appropriate place to strive for the ultimate realization of nirvana. This is so quoting. Then Buddhists have been, it was also discussed, Buddhists have been emulating this Buddha's example. Many aranyas in Asia have been, these are forests and temples, have been in forests and mountains, and it's also the same today in the Buddhist West. I go to my section 1. Co-Buddhist teachings are very relevant to our discussion. Interrelatedness of all forms, many of these things I'm sure you are very well aware, but I'm repeating it. Intricate web of life, Paka, etc., etc. Remind one of Gaia hypothesis. Gaia is a Greek word. The hypothesis that all organisms and their inorganic surroundings on Earth are closely integrated. Now in Buddhism, human beings, animals, plants are equally important. Coexistence, I stress the word equally. Coexistence of all living beings without any discrimination. does not recognize human supremacy. No hierarchical interactions. Human beings are just another component of this interdependent, interwoven, interconnected, different components of the environment. Plants are equally important. Animals as well as plants are equally important. The Vinaya Paka prohibited Buddhist monks and nuns from weeding and cutting trees, polluting green grass and water with saliva, urine. The Buddha said, trees provide shade and shelter even to the person who is planning to destroy trees. The construction of parks and pleasure grounds for public use is considered a great meritorious deed. Another core principle is sustainable lifestyle in Buddhism. It's a very core principle. Buddhism advocates a sustainable lifestyle grounded in the values of moderation and simplicity. Today, ostentatious consumerism is accepted as the order of the day. Man's unrestrained exploitation of nature has given rise to an energy crisis on the one hand and pollution problem on the other. And there is, of course, one can go even on the pollution problem, what the Buddha had said. Although if the pollution was not such a problem, Buddha once said the noisy monks, he asked the monks to not to make the noise, that kind of stuff. Non-acquisition, the Buddha advocated the virtue of non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion in all human pursuits. Excessive greed has pushed mankind to satisfy excessive and unnecessary demands, pushing them into endless competition, leading to self-destruction and environmental change. This is what Venerable spoke in at length. Greed breeds sorrow and unhealthy consequences. Contentment, sambuddhi, is a much praised word in Buddhism. It's very well known. Sambuddhi Anavamanaya-man. Very common popular saying. Then the saved and not waste approach to Buddhism means that nothing in nature is spoiled or wasted, and when destruction upsets the vital balance of life. If you hurt one part, the entire thing gets hurt. If you destroy one part, the entire planet gets destroyed. The entire vertebrate gets destroyed, or it destroys its balance. The Buddha commended frugality-thrifty economic use of ropes. All ropes are used as coverlets. All coverlets as mattress covers. All mattress covers as rugs. All rugs as dusters. All patterned dusters are kneaded with clay and used to repair cracked floors and walls. Virtues of restraint is another core principle. Restraint, non-aggression. Buddhism advocated a gentle, non-aggressive attitude towards nature. A householder should accumulate wealth as a bee collects pollen from a flower, harming neither the fragrance nor the beauty of the flower. The person devoted to service of others should practice 4 Brahma Viharas. The well-known Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. Metta, loving kindness, practice of loving kindness. Just as one's own life is precious to oneself, so is the life of the others precious to himself or herself, towards all creatures of all borders without restriction, timid and steady, long and short, big and small, minute and great, visible and invisible, near and far, born and awaiting for all kinds of beings. And Karuna, compassion brings respect for the quality of all sentient beings, the basis for a balanced view of the whole world and of the environment. It's a basic element. Then mudita, sympathetic or vicarious joy, the pleasure that comes from delighting in other people's success and well-being rather than begrudging. I guess this is something very, very unusual in any civilization or religion or civilization. This mudita, for you to take pleasure or to be pleased with somebody else's success or well-being. Upekha, equanimity. Distributive justice is another core principle in Buddhism. The Buddhist ethic of distributive justice, rich merchant class provide for the poor. Buddhism is very much on Siddhartha, etc. Allows the removal of injustice and so removal of social strains on the environment. Moral and spiritual transformation. This is something really, really important. Special emphasis in Buddhism on individual moral and spiritual transformation. I think this is the greatest challenge for us today in changing environmental attitudes. That is, we have to transform myself first before trying to transform somebody else. Other principles, generosity, pleasant words, dana, vimachana, they can choose efficient actions, charya, equality, Sammananaya-man, non-violence, and so on, etc. A great approach today in changing these are very helpful in changing environmental attitudes, disrupting environmental attitudes. What made the Buddha emphasize these teachings? It was a time 600 before Christ, when the region was undergoing a process of urbanization and political centralization. Buddha looked at that. Commercial development and formation of artisan and merchant classes were occurring. The creation of towns and expansion of an agrarian economy led to the clearing of forests and other tracts of uninhabited land. Buddha naturally came up very strongly with these environmental concerns because of his social economic background against which he was born and lived. Several suttas directly address these issues, Vinaya Sutta, Sigalovada Sutta, etc. I'm not going to go into detail, just mention demoralized to greed, famine is the natural outcome. When moral degeneration is due to ignorance, epidemics are the inevitable result. When hatred is the demoralizing force, there is widespread violence. Then my part 2, the role of women as described by the Buddha. The Buddha made a clear distinction between the biological role and social role of women. This is very important. Apart from the biological difference of sex, the psychosomatic constitution, the nama rupa, of every individual being the same. The basic physical, psychological, and emotional needs of the genus of beings remain identical. Equality between human beings is supported from biological and anthropological perspectives. Unlike in the case of plants and animals, characterized by differences of species, human beings belong to one single species. No differences between human beings. Biological and cultural roles of women. There are 2 words in Pali for womanhood. Ittitta for the biological role, the role you are born with. Ittibhava or ittikutta for the culturally prescribed role. That is what the society attributes to women. Social and cultural liberation of women. Marriage was a contract between 2 equals. Secular. It has nothing to do with religion. Marriage in Buddhism. Very secular, not religious. Freedom from divorce and leave the husband or leave the wife. The husband and the wife are in the Visidas. It was a very interesting case where she had several husbands. Equal intellectual strength. The Buddha recognized women's intellectual strength. Unlike in pre-Buddhist India, where through a son, he conquers, the man conquers the world, and through a son's son, he attains immortality. Confucius also is very similar, obedience and the woman's role in obedience. The Buddha consoled King Pasenadi, who came to him grieving that his queen Malika had given birth to a daughter, saying, the Buddha said, don't worry, a female offspring walking may prove even nobler than me. Women questioning man's authority. Terigata, the poems of first Buddhists, has strong, defined, and anti-patriarchal overtones. The world's first, it has been described definitely the world's first feminist poetry. Buddhism Soma's poem, I quote, they say, Soma says, they say, the theory Soma says, they say that place attained by the seers cannot be attained by a woman with two-finger intelligence. English they say, Dwangula Panya. Then Soma says, I say, what does it matter to be a woman or a man when the mind is concentrated and the insight is clear? Where we question man's authority. Perfect release. Now, Terigata also gives very interesting perfect release of husband. Poem by Terigata and well released, properly released after she became Arahant. Terigata. Released by means of the three crooked things, by the mortar, pestle, and my crooked husband. I am released from the throat and leg. 7 kinds of wives. Once Anathapindika went and complained about his daughter-in-law, Sujata. And the Buddha said here, there are 7 kinds of wives. Wicked, bad-tempered, pitiless, and not faithful to the husband. They are coming later. Also, I will be discussing who wastes the money earned by a husband. Lazy, no compassion, always holding her husband or gossiping. Fight like a mother, fight like a sister, fight like a friend, like a helping, good, and understanding one. A popular saying by the Buddha is, wife as best friend. It is very popular. The best friend is your wife. The Buddha's introduction of 3 concepts. In the Buddha's introduction of these 3 concepts, in my view, women's role underwent a total change at a time a woman was considered a man's property. Sammananaya, man's respect and admiration, man should have respect and admiration for women. Anavamanaya, man should refrain from words that hurt and degrade women. Vosaggena-man, man should give up dominance. These 3 totally solves the problem of women's, whatever you call it, liberation or emancipation or whatever you choose to call. Rights and responsibilities between groups of people. The Sigalovada Sutta, which can be described as a chart of happiness and prosperity based on 5 key relationships. Reciprocal, Pakara, Pachapakara. There is no one way. Reciprocal, between friends, between husband and wife, between parents and children, between students and teachers, between employees and employees. We discuss how a husband should treat his wife. Sammananaya, here it comes. Genuine respect and admiration is most important to a healthy relationship. Our Anavamanaya, man should refrain from words that hurt and degrade women. Practice poetfulness, both for both men and women. Comes vosaggena-man, man should give up authority. Dominance. That is what it's all about, the women's question. Respect for liking for beauty. Women admire some beauty. There is no doubt about it. They are gentler and they are better admirers of beauty. There are men, of course, who admire some beauty, but I guess women are better admirers by nature. How wives should treat their husbands. Adopt an organized approach to work. to some people, some women were landowners, business partners, etc. Not only in the house, taking care of the children and taking something after the household. They maintained relationships with groups, relatives, employees. Women have a natural talent. Modern-day social secretary. I guess all women will agree with me here. If we are married, we all serve as social secretary in our families. Practice faithfulness, both ways, husband and wife. Protect family well, men. Obviously, woman is the one who protects family well. More susceptible to wasting money, gambling, alcoholism, shows skill and energy. I do not see much of a difference, except the circumstances have changed. Even within my own life, it is the same. I do not see much of a difference. Even in the 21st century. Part 3 of my last section, women's role in conservation. Although not a single discourse is devoted specifically to this subject in Buddhism, conservation is always a key component of the preconditions for human flourishing. Women with innate compassion and the ethos of care were the key players. Women, the real ethos of care is the woman's area. Conservation as part of the woman's nature. Conservation has been part of woman's nature as ascribed by Buddhism. Women have played a key role throughout and will continue to play a key role in conservation. Historians of domestication have argued that when men went out hunting, when they were living in caves, when men went out there hunting for food, it was the women who started to select plants from the wild and cultivated them. So they are the original farmers, women. The rise of, it is later industrialization and all those other things that displace the woman. The rise of feminism. I'm not going to discuss my area of expertise in gender and development, and how women in development, women and development, how to stop gender and development, and the rise of eco-feminism, social reproduction as the crux of the gender and development debate, as all of you know. Women's centrality to resource management, gathering, conserving, and sustaining roles gave rise to eco-feminism. Several studies on women in biodiversity. There are gender dimensions. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to use this research, this text. Gender dimensions in biodiversity, management and food security, policy and programs of conservation. FAO 1999 with country studies from India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, the Maldives, Bhutan, the Philippines and Vietnam. Land and forests, women, local resource-based occupations for sustainable survival in South Asia, aided by Vanaropa, collaborative regional research network in South Asia. So these I summarize the important findings from these Asian studies. Asian rural women play a key role in biodiversity as seed collectors, seed selectors, biodiversity managers in home gardens, and as keepers of local knowledge of food crops, medicinal plants, with foods and products. And many of us women have learned our home medicine from our mothers with plants, planting, seeing mothers planting home medicine, medicinal plants in the garden. It is a woman who conserves, preserves, and germinates seeds in most parts of the world. I'm still summarizing these studies, several studies. Knowledge transmission from mother to daughter. The intricate knowledge involved in performing this task is transmitted from mothers to daughters, from sisters to sisters, from mothers-in-laws to daughters-in-law, or from one village sister to another. Women are the repositories of this vast area of knowledge, and in a true sense, owners of this complex seek technology and know-how. Women should be given a credit for that. They are looking into it. Genes identified and managed by women. Communities have not only developed elaborate systems of pest management and biological control and still voting, they have identified and managed a series of genes conferring valuable traits for commercial and domestic use. It is those genes or traits as diverse as disease resistance, high salt intolerance, resistance to drought, or waterlogging, which have been maintained in the repertoire of communities and managed by rural women in most cases. I guess these things are not only applicable to Asian women. I have most important information, texts referring to Asian women, but women the world over. Concerned with the role for women by the Buddha. These attributes are all consonants with the roles of the Buddha recognized in and for women. He did not impose a patriarchal, domineering role of man on nature and also on man on woman, very equal relationship. It was a coexistent and co-flourishing approach. Thank you.